Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent Podcast. I'm Jason Abrams, and this is the place where we lift the curtain on the world of real estate like never before. Every week, I sit down with visionaries, pirates, and mavericks. We're here to document, demonstrate, and most importantly, demystify their game-changing models and systems. What secrets propel them to the top? And how are they living their dreams? This is about passion, it's about strategy, but above all, it's about real, tangible success. So buckle up and let's dive in. This is the Millionaire Real Estate Agent Podcast. You are about to hear from one of the warmest people and greatest humans that you will listen to. Friends, this gentleman started his working career at age 9. He became a nightclub promoter by age 12. And 9 years into the real estate business in San Antonio, Texas, and he does over 500 units a year for more than $130 million. I am speaking about none other than Scott Malouff. He is an events expert, from micro events to macro events, which means small to big. He does it across the board. He's going to tell you exactly how to foster relationships one-on-one and then how to get 2,000 people to your next client event. Friends, sit back, buckle up. This is Scott Malouff. Scott, how are you, sir?
I am blessed.
You know, you run a giant business. You know this. 500 plus units, 130 million plus in volume. And I want to unpack that completely. But before we do, I want to go back in time. But before the suits, before the hats, before all the money, how did you find the greatest industry in the world?
So I kind of just ran in it on an accident. It wasn't something that was planned.
Everybody says that.
So before real estate, I did events. I was a club promoter since the age of 12. So I started actually with teen parties. When I was 12, 13 years old, I used to go to them. And the guy that was throwing those events asked me if I wanted to get VIP. So I said, yeah, I would love to be able to do that.
Okay, hang on. This is a whole new concept to the vast majority of our listeners. What, pray tell, is a teen party?
A teen party is events for kids between the age of 12 and 17. And they're a guy that would rent out the club, and it would only be for teens. So what he would do is we would pass out flyers. This is before kind of Facebook and everything was going on. We would pass out flyers at all these high schools. So I would pass out flyers at my high school, and then he would see the amount of people that I was bringing from my school. So he asked if I wanted to get paid. And I said, yeah, well, what does that look like? And he's like, well, I'm going to pick you up from your school. I'm going to take you to all these other high schools in San Antonio. You're going to act like you go to school there and pass out flyers.
What?
I did that all throughout high school. I would get paid to do that. I would throw events. We would do concerts. And then when I turned 18, I started doing 18 and up parties, doing concerts.
Okay, wait a second. I'm not letting you get to the adult stuff yet, because this reminds me of the Los Angeles Soda Pop Club that Leonardo DiCaprio and all of his contemporaries used to be members of. They go to these teen parties. I got 3 questions. Number 1, the school cannot look kindly on you running around being a party promoter by day and doing social studies at night. How did that work?
There was some times where I would get caught at some of these schools, actually, and they would give me criminal trespassing warnings or certain things like that. So those things did happen. Yet for the most part, I was able to maneuver, because what would happen was I would find the person that was the most popular at these schools when I would like have lunch at them and just kind of blend in. I would befriend them. And then from there, I would get their information, their phone number, and I would let them know I'm coming to their school that day. So that way I can give them the brick of flyers and they would pass them out. They would get VIP. So I kind of knew who the influencer was at every high school that would help kind of pass out flyers at those schools.
All right, number 2, and I have 3. Number 2, what did your parents think of this? Because if my 12-year-old came home and said, hey, I'm a party promoter, tonight's going to be fly, you should come, be there at 11, I'd lose my mind.
So I was raised by a single mom. I never knew my father. And my mom, she got multiple sclerosis at the age of, when I was around 11 or 12. She wasn't working. So this was actually a way for me to make some money. So she wasn't upset about it. I don't think she fully knew exactly everything I was doing, yet she knew that I was making money and I was able to help support the family.
Third question. It sounds like you grew up really fast.
I did, because I actually worked before that at a 9-pin bowling alley. So yeah, a little bit.
You've kind of been in relationship businesses since you were 12, because to go and pick out the influencer, then, and I'm going to use this word, but take it kindly, manipulate into being a friend, then get that person to go and pass out flyers for you. So did you just know how to do that instinctively, or did you have a model?
It was knowing what was important to them. So if they were going to go to these events already, and I was able to get them VIP, get them to cut the line, make them feel like they were a celebrity in their school, those are the things that I knew were important, especially for like a 15-year-old that walking past a line of 200 people going straight in. They could bring their friends with them. I mean, so I did learn that at a younger age of how to make people feel important.
Interestingly enough, getting to skip the line and walk in still makes you feel important, even at 45. Take my word for it. So now you're 18. You start promoting for adult clubs, yes?
Started doing 18 and up parties. I had some investors that owned some venues. So my first concert I threw was Pitbull. Brought Pitbull down to a club. Back then he was only 15,000. Now he's $500,000 for a show. So we kicked off a night there, started doing. So I did 4 nights a week, 18 and up. And then I started doing the teen parties because the guy that did them here ended up moving to South Padre Island.
Got it. Okay. So what happens next?
So I started doing those. And then I started doing artist management as well, because there's a kid that lived here in San Antonio that was an R&B artist. We ended up going on tour with Drake and Lil Wayne. So I managed him through his career. He ended up going with a bigger label, which I still have a good relationship with him. And we're still really good friends as well. And then I opened some kiosks in the malls too, off of relationships that I had. So I had all those going at one time. I learned a lot. So one thing with Keller Williams, there's a class ESO that teaches you how to expand. I did not expand correctly when it came to the kiosk business, because I was like, I got a cousin in Cleveland, so I'm going to open in Cleveland next, and then I'm getting robbed in Cleveland. So I had sold all of those, which was good. You know, I'm in my mid-20s, and I just felt kind of old. I had been doing the club for, 13, 14 years at that point. And I just was like, I need a change in my life. It was one of my parties, a fight breaks out. And there was always, fights, and I'd always be a diffuser like this person. I'd have to like calm down and make things better. This one guy ends up getting in a fight with another guy, and I knew both of them. Yet the guy ends up shooting the other guy and killing him.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, this is not it. So I sat down and I was like, I need a change in life. So one of my other friends was like, hey, I'm going to get my real estate license. And I was like, okay, well, you know what? I think I'm going to do that too. Yet it took me a while to pass my test, because by the time I passed my test, he was already out back at T-Mobile.
Oh, wait a minute. I got one more question that I want to ask you before we get into the real estate side. The lifestyle that you're living as a club promoter and as a music business manager, on one hand, it sounds like a wildly unhealthy lifestyle, potentially. You're out all night. You're surrounded by all these vices. Did that have an effect on you, or were you able to draw a hard line?
So I didn't do any drugs. The alcohol, I learned when to stop. So it did help. Yeah, I did see everything. I mean, there's nothing that really I can see now that won't surprise me. The good thing is being able to deal with people in real estate. Like I would deal with drunk people. So, and this is when they're not understanding what you're saying, and you have to calm them down. So now being a problem solver, it's a lot easier, because at least I know they're not intoxicated. At least I trust they're not intoxicated.
It's so good. Real estate, Jay, is easy. I used to only deal with drunk people that were upset. It's maybe the greatest line in the history of the show. I just want you to know, Scott, that's in the running. So you get the real estate license. Your buddy fails out. He's back selling phones. Do you have success selling houses right away?
So first year I sold 85 homes.
Okay, stop it. You can't say it like that. Like, stop it. 85 houses your first year?
And I thought, because of where I came from in the event side, that everyone I knew was just going to say, oh, Scott got his real estate license, so let's go buy a home from him. And that's not how it happened. It actually took about 3 or 4 years of rebranding myself before people in my database started to call me and say, hey, I'm looking to buy a house, compared to, hey, where are we going tonight?
Well, wait a second. Yes, that can be true. And I love that you said that. Thank you. But you also sold 85 houses the first year. How did you sell 85 homes to? How do you do that?
I've always been in a growth mindset. So luckily that year, Bold came to San Antonio 4 times. So I took Bold back to back to back to back, as well as I got into coaching. So I got into the productivity coaching in the market center with Steve Collins. And then I just had a lot of accountability partners. So I created accountability groups inside of the market center. And we just prospecting based, marketing enhanced. And then eventually it became marketing enhanced, database driven. I would, as long as it's TCPA compliant, I would make the phone calls to certain things that we learned throughout the business. And that kind of led to a certain area of town that I just understood. And on one block, it's called Myrtle Street in San Antonio, I ended up selling 9 homes on the same street. And this area was being redeveloped. There was a lot going on. A hotel was opening. Yeah, there was a lot of wholesalers offering them pennies on what they could actually get. So they were knocking on doors and they were offering them a lot less than what they were actually going to get. So I was able to get this seller, the first one, $190,000. When I left the house, I smelled like cat. It needed to be knocked down. Yet just the way the area was moving, it was moving different. So she was able to sell that for 190. Then she needed to buy something. So those 9 homes ended up becoming 9 buyers too. So that became 18 transactions. And then from there became the ink blot method where I would go street after street and then subdivision.
So in order to sell 500 homes a year, you all have to be doing a lot of things really well. Is there any one thing that you credit a lot of this success to that you can teach us?
I would go back to events. Events have been very successful from a micro and a macro side. On a micro side, we teach what we call in our team, we call it 50 first dates.
Okay, hang on, because we're about to get into this, but I want to warn everybody, because I know everyone's driving in your Teslas, and someone just sent me a picture of them in a Ferrari, by the way. Congratulations to that agent. And that agent's in Cleveland. So a Ferrari in Cleveland, things are awesome for you, sir. I'm taking all the notes. I'm going to start writing them down as he speaks. He's going to tell us exactly how to do it. The notes come out on Thursday. If you don't get them, go to MREAnotes.com, put in your information, and we'll send them to you. Okay, Scott, we're going to break events into 2 buckets. Micro events, which are small events, and then regular events. Tell us exactly how to do it. Let's start with micro.
Okay, micro events, we do what's called 50 first dates. 50 first dates is once a week. We have it with coffee, lunch, and dinner. Coffee is somebody that you're looking to be in business with or you're looking to build a relationship with. Lunch is with the past client, and then the dinner is with somebody that's a VIP. You do one a week for 50 weeks with somebody different for 50 weeks, and you call it 50 first dates.
Well, hang on. I want to ask you a question about this. So I'm doing one of these a week for 50 weeks, which means at the end, I will have went on 50 either coffee, lunches, or dinner. Is that right?
150. So you're going to go on 50 coffee dates, 50 lunch dates, and 50 dinner dates.
Okay. My gosh. There's got to be people that look back at you and say, man, I don't know that many people.
Well, you can start with relationship building. And the relationship building you can do with the coffee. And then from there, you can build it with the lunch, dinner. Yeah, there's people that you can look into the city or look into what city you're in that you might be looking to be in a relationship with and invite them to dinner, invite them to lunch, invite them for coffee.
This is genius. So coffee is for people I'm trying to get in a relationship with. Lunch is past clients. Dinner is VIP. I'm going on one of each of these a week for a total of 150 first dates, quote unquote, by the end of the year.
Correct.
Now, what are the keys to this? How do I make this special?
The key is becoming a connector. It's not about us. It's figuring out how we can connect for them. Like what's important to them, what goals do they have? And it might not even be real estate. Majority of the time, it's not. Yet it's figuring out, okay, this is where you are and this is where you want to be or looking to be. Who can I connect them with? In my database, that might be able to help them get from here to there. And just listening to their goals, understanding their goals, and even just using formulas that we learned through Keller Williams to be able to help in their business also help. Like teaching them about 401s or 15 protocol or GPSs and how to write a GPS. So all of those, just from an education standpoint, could help different people in different businesses.
Now, as the team owner, are you tracking this for your agents? Is there accountability rolled into this?
There is, because we do 401s and we do 15 protocol. And if an agent is not where they need to be, we're adding extra 50 first dates to their schedule.
And if I'm getting ready to go on my first one, are you walking me through any conversation frameworks, or are you just telling me to go be human and have a good time?
It's forward. We always talk about the family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. We kind of go over those with them. And then once we know their dreams, it becomes our goal to be able to help them achieve that.
And is the information that's being collected going into a CRM somewhere? Or as the agent, am I just trying to remember all this?
It is. It's being tagged. So if I'm meeting with somebody, I know they're a San Antonio Spurs fan, then all of those people are being tagged on my database as Spurs fans. And then say something happens, like Chris Paul gets traded to the Spurs, they're the ones getting text that next morning of, guess what happened? This is going to be exciting, XYZ. Or if I have some extra tickets for a Spurs game, they're the first ones that are going to get a phone call.
It's interesting to me because you understand relationships at such a deep level, and forcing people to go on 3, I'm going to call them social interactions over the course of the week, is one hell of a way to foster relationship.
I agree. It's a good way to build relationships deeper. When you have that one-on-one conversation, you get to know that person. And also, there's going to be other conversations you have throughout the year that somebody else you met with, that's going to be somebody else that you're going to end up connecting them with.
Do you end up with agents that say, look, man, I can't buy someone dinner once a week. I don't have any money now.
Yeah, it's an investment and you have to invest. It's cheaper than doing, some other things, tools that other people use like Zillow or Realty.com. I think if you invest in people, it's the best investment you can make than other ones.
Do you have any feel for tracking leads that come off of these dates? I mean, I get the concept, which is the more likable I am with more people, the more business I'll do. Do you have any way to tie it and say, Jason, if you do this on average, it's going to lead the blank number of leads a year?
So yes, we do. We track it through CTE actually. So CTE lets us know where the leads come from. It's majority of the time it comes from something with the 51st date sphere of influence. So this year we've made over 1.4 million just off of doing that.
Year to date, just off of the 51st dates?
Just off of sphere of influence and the relationships we have right there.
Tell you what, that's a hell of a return if you're buying someone a bagel for a cup of coffee.
Yeah. And a bagel can go a long way.
Stop the tape. Did you hear that? Did you see how quickly he rattled off 3 time management tools that he uses? He talked about the GPS. He talked about the 411. I mean, he just started talking quickly. And you know what that means? It means he has mastery of those tools. You see, Scott looks up and says, if I'm having lunch with somebody, I'm trying to make their life better. If I'm having breakfast with somebody, I'm trying to make their business better. If I'm taking the time to get to know them, I want to move them forward. You know what he is? He's a teacher. His classroom becomes the breakfast, lunch, or dinner table that he's sitting at. And I know it's easy to kind of be lulled into a sense of calm because his voice and the way that he speaks brings you to this place. But I want you to know behind all of that, he is fiercely competitive. He is fiercely competitive for relationships. He is fiercely competitive for referrals. And he is fiercely competitive in the game of life. You see, Scott looks up and has figured out that the best collateral you have won't be the dollars in your pocket. It'll be the relationships in your network. And he gets it. All right, so that's micro events. Talk to me about larger events.
So macro events, we do a couple different ones. We do some with the community. We do philanthropy sides. We do a backpack giveaway every year. We started with 250 backpacks. Now we raised it all the way up to 1,000 backpacks, where we give away 1,000 backpacks with school supplies. We rent out a trampoline park. We team up with Big Brothers, Big Sisters. We have the news, everybody out there. So this is one of our big philanthropy events we do. We do a thing with single mothers. So on Mother's Day, the day before Mother's Day, we do it with single mothers where they're nominated. And we have 50 different single moms that come with their kids. And we rent out a restaurant and we have different stations there where the kids are able to go make their mom cards, bracelets, flower pots, there's photo booths. And then the moms are inside and we have some speakers come speak to the moms, lift them up. And then the kids come back in and we have it buffet style where the kids are serving their moms like they're the waiter or waitress. And then from there they come, it's a great event. We have our turkey drive. So we're doing that in a couple of weeks where we're giving away 200 turkeys to different people in the community. And then we do our big Christmas party. So those events are more for the, giving back. And then for a Christmas party, we do a concert every year. So last year we brought in Mario. The year before was Bobby Valentino. The year before was 112. This year we have Fabulous. And we rent out a venue and we do a casino night. We give away TVs, trip to Vegas. We give away a lot of different things when it comes to that. We have it catered on the outside. So it's about an $80,000 event. Yet because of the relationships we have, we get sponsorships for majority of these events. And, a lot of them are, if it's for the community philanthropy side, we don't take a profit. Yet if it's for like the Christmas one, that one's not a nonprofit event. So we actually make a profit on it. So we actually raise about 150 in sponsorships for this event. And then that helps pay for different things throughout the year because because we're big on going to family reunion and mega camp, it pays for the hotel rooms. We go on a team trip every year, so that pays for the team trip. That pays for our team awards from that event. So we make profit, yet it goes back into the business for other things that we do to be able to help the culture.
I'm jumping in because I owe you an apology. You see, if you were listening just now, what you heard him say is that he raises $150,000 from his venues. And at the time he said it, I didn't think to say, wait a second. Wait a second. How do you do that? I called him after the fact and I said, Scott, how do you raise $150,000 from vendors to play for these events? And he gave me a model, and now I'm going to pass it on to you. Number one, find business owners. You see, he explained to me that it's the small business owners in his community that become the vendor partners for his events. Those business leaders break into 4 distinct groups, and the first one blew me away. Number one, personal injury attorneys. Friends, he brings in over $50,000 a year in partnership from personal injury attorneys because they're on all the billboards, they're on all the radio stations. They want to be known by the largest number of customers. Number 2, lenders. We all get that one. Number 3, contractors. And then group number 4 are what he calls personal services. This is someone who might own the barber shop. But at the end of it, all of these people have one thing in common. They want to be known by Scott's network. Number 2, reward your agents. Scott rewards the agents on his team for helping him meet new vendors to bring into that program. This might mean that the number 1 agent who brings in the most vendor sponsorships gets a trip for 2 to Cancun. That's what they did last year. He also gave away floor seats for the Spurs. As a matter of fact, the agent on his team that won the trip to Cancun brought in $24,000 in vendor sponsorship dollars for events. That blew me away. Number 3, meet with them. Scott goes with his agents to meet their business relationships and explain to them the value that his team provides. And that leads us to number 4, which is have a program. Scott shows them exactly what they get if they're going to be a vendor. He has 5 levels, beginning with bronze, which is a $500 investment. They get 4 tickets to the event, a thank you on social media, and they get a copy of the recap video. All the way to platinum, which is a $10,000 sponsor. They might get up to 30 tickets, a thank you on social media, a recap video of the event, a banner at the event, a private cocktail hour for before the event, a custom table setup, logos throughout the event, a stage banner, a mention from stage, and a VIP seating section with bottle service. You know what my takeaway is? Scott knows exactly what his value is. And his focusing question, what value can I add to my event that a vendor would want to pay for the whole thing? Friends, that model brings in $150,000 a year. And who's on the guest list? When you say fabulous, you're talking about the rapper.
The rapper, yes.
You're going back to like 03 through 07, right? That's when he was making all those songs.
Correct.
I want to go see him, by the way. I want to go hear Into You. I want to see that. Who can go? Do you invite everybody? Is it community? Is it just your database?
It's majority just our database. It's our database and vendors. So we have sponsors that are our vendors that we work with, and then we have past clients. Because this is my 9th year in the business, and since we've been in the business, we've closed about 3,500 properties. So, year after year, there's different people that continue to get added to the database. And we have about 1,500 to 2,000 people at this event.
That's incredible. And where do you host an event of that size?
This is old train station downtown here in San Antonio. It holds about 2,000 people.
At an event like that, let's say you have 2,000 people, you have a recording artist. Are you taking the stage and thanking everybody for coming? Is that how you brand it?
When they walk in, they first have a step and repeat with Santa Claus. And we have our logos right behind it. So that's automatically going on everybody's social media because they're posting their pictures with Santa on their Facebook and Instagram. So there's a branding when it comes to that. I am thanking everybody because I'm doing the raffle for the prize giveaway for the casino. And I'm doing that on stage as well. And we usually have the artists helping with the raffle as well. So there's a lot of different branding opportunities we have through the event. We have ice sculptures with our logos on it, and then just different around the venue. There's different things that we do.
It's fantastic. Someone once told me that you do an event for number one, to get to invite people, number two, to have the event, number three, to then post like crazy on social media for all the people that didn't come to feel like they missed out. Is that right? Or are we missing steps?
There's definitely a FOMO to it because there's always a time where people are like, why didn't I get invited? It was like, well, you didn't buy a house from us. Like, you weren't working with us. Like, I saw you on Facebook when you posted that picture with that other agent. There is a FOMO to it. And, over time, we built deeper relationships of people that would like to be a part of the party. And then there's a vendor side, too, that says, hey, how do I join that? Or how do I be a part of y'all's events next year? On the macro side, there's different events we do with the city also that we partner on. So, like, we have the San Antonio Pizza Festival. We have the San Antonio Brunch Festival. Texas Fashion Week. So we partner with a lot of other events that are going on in the city. And we look at who's the one throwing it and then kind of just talk to them about our database, how we can help them. Majority of the time, they don't charge us. Sometimes we actually even get paid for it just to be a part of that event. So like for the San Antonio Pizza Festival, for that, anybody that's in our database gets 50% off on that event. And we're able to send that to our database. We have a booth there. So it's a win-win when it comes to doing those events as well.
Walk me through. So I totally understand the 51st date. This makes easy model. Love it, by the way. It's genius. If I wanted to wake up tomorrow and I want to throw an event for 1,500 people, I don't even know how to think about doing that. Walk me through the steps.
So I would recommend you start a little smaller. So we started without doing the concerts. We just started doing it was a guy that played the piano and a saxophone, had a DJ. First, you're going to pick the venue. Then you're going to pick, okay, what is the cost going to be for everything? So you start mapping out like a budget. And you're going to put your budget together, X, Y, Z. And then you're going to figure out, okay, how many sponsors do I need to be able to offset this price? So you kind of figure that out. And then from there, it's how many people do I have in my database that I'm going to be able to invite? So we invite probably about 5,000 people for 1,500 people to show up because not everybody's going to say yes. And there's certain people that might not fit that event too.
I don't want to know you, by the way. If you're not coming to see Fabulous, I don't want to know you. If that's not an event for you, you're not a person for me. That's how I think about it, Scott.
And there is some that we might keep a 51st date for this one at a steak restaurant. You got to know your crowd. You got to know your people, know who's going to enjoy it. So you start to make your list. There's an 8-touch program that you should do with them. And it starts 90 days out. You start to let them know about what's going on, when it's going to happen. You send out the invite. From there, you're going to send them a text, email, phone call. You're going to do that all the way up to the event. So it's text, email, phone call. Then you do that. It's repeated.
That makes all the sense in the world to me. Then after the event, what does it look like on social media?
We have a web page where they're able to go to and see the photos. So we send that out to all of our people and they're able to kind of see the recap of the photography. And then we have a recap video as well because we have our own media team inside of the team. So we make sure that we're letting people know kind of from a hype standpoint of what they missed. And they see the crowd, they see everything on that end.
And is there any tricks or any hacks during the event? If you said to me, Jason, you don't do events a lot, let me tell you the 2 things that people are going to remember.
The artist is definitely one that people are going to remember. And then you want to create that environment. So the environment is very important. So from the music that's played to kind of the lighting, all of that is important in the event that you're throwing. That's why we do the casino as well, because if we didn't have the casino, it would get a little bit boring through the event. So you want to have a little bit of wow factors that are going on. I've been to events and everyone just stands around, sits around, even concerts until somebody performs. Yet if you have something that's entertaining and keeping them kind of occupied until the concert, that does help.
I want to switch gears. I want to talk style, mainly because you're one of the most well-dressed agents that I know, and you always are immaculate. That's a brand as far as I'm concerned. How did you think about it? When did you have this epiphany? Why does it matter?
It was about 5 or 6 years ago. I got gifted a hat. It was actually from my team. And I started wearing that hat, and people started getting compliments. So I was like, okay, I bought another hat. And then I got another hat. And then from there, people think I'm bald. I actually have hair. Wear a hat every day because it just became a signature. And I think once you have that kind of signature brand, it helps from people recognizing you, knowing who you are, and identifying you a little easier.
I can't believe my whole life's a lie. You have hair?
I do have hair, yes.
So how many hats do you have?
About 50.
50 hats?
Correct.
Do these lay flat on a shelf or are these all on hooks?
They're on hooks. They're hanging around my room.
First of all, I want to see a photo of that. That is absolutely awesome. I don't know anyone that has 50 hats.
I'll send it to you.
There's this great real estate story about this philosopher named Epicurus, and he's back in ancient Athens, and he buys this incredible villa in downtown Athens, which is this bustling, crazy city, and he builds this beautiful garden. And instead of talking philosophy in front of large crowds, he invites a handful of really smart people over, and they sit in his garden and they talk about life. And it becomes known as Epicurus's garden. Would you join us in the garden?
Let's do it.
So unpack fulfillment and happiness for me, because you're having incredible success, but you're still on a journey.
In life, I feel there's no such thing as bad day. There's just bad moments. And it's how you let moments affect you and how your day is going to go. And I've had a lot of moments that you can end up in a victim mindset very easily. And, I learned postponement can be permanent. So in the beginning of my career, it was work, 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 work. And my values weren't aligning on who I actually am. And it wasn't until after my rookie year, I was taking my mom on a trip. I'm Lebanese. There was a Lebanese convention going on in New Orleans. I was taking my mom and grandparents on a trip. And my mom and grandma went the day before me. She called me. She said, "Scott, can you pick up my bathing suit?" I said, "Yeah, I'm going to pick it up." And then I get a call 30 minutes later from my grandma. And she said, "Mama's not breathing." And she passed away from a blood clot at the age of 51.
Oh my gosh.
So 4 years later, from there, I got very purposeful about, okay, I'm going to be with my grandparents each and every day. Like there was a non-negotiable time that I said, okay, this is a non-negotiable 5 to 7. I'm going to have dinner with them. And I was very thankful that I did that because 4 years later, my grandfather passed away. And then 6 weeks ago, my grandma passed away. So that was all I knew growing up was that. And I learned that everything is a journey. And as you go through your journey, there is no tomorrow. There's only today. There's only the moment that you're actually in. And learning to say, okay, I'm going to be purposeful about this and I'm going to do this now and I'm going to do X, Y, Z now. And that's how you should be throughout your day because you just don't know what's going to happen next. And you don't know when your last conversation is going to be with somebody else. And coming from curiosity, not judgment more, even when situations happen, a lot of times people are kind of like that iron that's been plugged in for a while and you unplug it and they stay hot. And it's becoming more like a light switch. And if it doesn't matter in 5 years, it shouldn't matter in 5 minutes. Learning to forgive a lot faster and just say, okay, just dive in deep to people and just love on people. And that's one thing I've learned.
So as you look up now, you lost mom, you lost grandma, you lost grandpa. Do you feel alone?
I have my team and I had a son at a young age too. So I have my son. But other than that, that's pretty much my life.
Wow. So you've made a lot of money and you didn't grow up with a lot of money. What does money mean to you?
I like what Gary talks about. Money's only good for the good it can do. And, it's not about what you get, it's about what you give. So for me, it's, making sure that I continue to keep the oxygen on myself and continue to grow, yet also being able to help other people figure out how do we get you to that next level? And how do we dive in deep to you to know what you're good at and like how we're going to help you achieve what you're looking to achieve. And money's a tool that I've learned, yet I didn't know that in the beginning. And I had to take some classes to understand it a lot more because I wasn't educated on it enough.
When you wake up now and you have a large team, you spend a lot of time teaching them. So in essence, for a guy that was running around kind of working in school, you've become a teacher. How do you think about teaching?
I think you have to always be teaching and always be learning. So there's two sides of it. You're teaching other people, yet you can't stop learning yourself. And I think a lot of times people get to a fixed mindset where they feel they know it all. Yeah, that's never the case. And you always got to continue to put yourself in rooms to educate yourself to continue to grow. Because if you grow, that's how you can help other people grow.
This is the time of year where everyone's working on business planning for the next year. And I think that's great. And I know other people that have a huge goal. And next year is just the next step towards it.
I have MREA arms, so it's different parts of the business that we've already started. Yet, it's just helping grow those businesses. I do have a goal to be able to help grow 10 millionaires in the next 5 years. So to be able to help develop 10 millionaires inside of my organization.
Do you think you're going to hit that? Do you have a plan?
We do have plans. We do have things in place. As long as things align, I believe we will achieve.
You're 38 years old. By all accounts, my friend, welcome to middle age. As you look back, you have regret, maybe. You have things you're proud of. I'm more interested in as you look forward. What else are you trying to accomplish? And when you look back at the end of it, how will you know you had a life that was well led?
My goal is just to have everybody in my world be able to achieve the gifts that they truly have. So if I can help them achieve the gifts that they were given and playing at a high level, then I know that I'm going to be winning at a high level as well. So there's a book called 5 Voices that talks about, the different voices people have. And there's connectors, there's guardians, there's nurturers. They will talk about all 5 voices that somebody has. And I'm a connector. So my gift is I'm a connector, is finding what their gift is, how they're able to utilize that gift, and then magnify it. And a lot of times that's going small to go big. And that's actually our theme for 2025 with our team. I think once somebody's been in the business for 2 to 3 years, there's a sign of what works for them. And if you look back at their past transactions, they'll see like, okay, this is where a majority of my business comes from. And then turning that into, like you do with the playbook on a smaller level, like even with our team, creating a playbook within our team and saying, okay, this is what you're good at. This is what you're winning at. How do we magnify this? Is it developing land? Is it working with divorce clients? Is it events? Is it open houses? What is it that you're winning at that we're going to create this playbook and then go small to a place where it becomes big? What is your signature class?
It's fantastic. Final question for me, Scott. Do you have someone that you look up to in the business world that you aspire to be like? You may have many. Gary always says, be careful, pick your prophets, meaning who you're going to watch. Who do you watch?
I watch Gary, actually. I watch Gary Keller. I watch Warren Buffett, Snowball Effect. I like that book a lot. Do watch my coaches and my mentors locally. So my coach, Jordan Freed, been with him for 6 years now. So he's somebody that corrects me a lot.
By the way, he corrects me a lot too. So don't feel badly about that.
Yeah. Then, my OP, Craig Owen, he's a good mentor as well. So there's some good people.
That's awesome. Scott, hey man, thanks for sharing unabashedly with us. I think the 50 First Days thing is absolutely brilliant. The fact that you put 2,000 people in a room, clients to come hang out, totally defies the way that I thought about events. You do small events amazing, and you do big events amazing. I'm really grateful for you teaching us today. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
How do you not love this guy? Like, how do you not sit back and love this guy? Whether he's doing the backpack giveaways for 250 people, or he's having the event for the single mothers, or he's hiring Fabulous to come out and do an event for 2,000 people, or he's simply sitting at breakfast, lunch, or dinner with people whose lives he's trying to impact. How do you not love this guy? And the answer to that question is you do. Which is the same thing that his clients say, which is the same thing that the people on his team say, which is the same thing that the people in his community say. Scott's a connector. He truly is. He's connecting people with opportunity. He's collecting people and giving them solutions to their problems. That's what you love about Scott Malouff. I want to leave you with one final thought. Everyone we're speaking with mentions how important events are. I want to urge you to think about next year. What events are you doing to keep the people in your database closer to you? That's the focusing question. The final thing, here's the thing about Scott Malouff. Scott Malouff said you're teaching and learning at the same time, and that there are some people that go through life and they think they've learned it all. You know what you love about this show? That's none of you. You are all journeyers, you are all learners, and you know what? You're all teachers in your own way. Thank you for being the best audience in the podcast space. Friends, go forth and do likewise. There it is. That wraps another episode. Friends, I don't know what you're taking out of this. I really don't. I'll tell you what I want you to be taking out of it, which is these are the people that are having tremendously big lives. And the reason it's happening is because they're setting up the models and systems to do just that. Gary Keller told me that leadership is teaching people how to think so that they do the things they need to do when they need to do them, so that ultimately they get the things they want when they want to have them. And that's what I want for you. You're all leaders, but it begins with leading ourselves. If you're enjoying this podcast, I want you to click the subscribe button anywhere that you get your podcasts. We want to be the voice in your head every single week. And every week, we're dropping new content. We also send out a newsletter at the conclusion of every show to make sure that you get the highest points in the models and systems that were discussed. So if you want to sign up, I need your name and your email address. Head over to the millionaireagentpodcast.com. millionaireagentpodcast.com. Enter your name and your email address, and every week that newsletter will be in your box. Friends, you just went on a journey. I hope that what happens between now and the next time we meet is absolutely wonderful for you. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next week.
This podcast is for general informational purposes only. The views, thoughts, and opinions of the guest represent those of the guest and not KWRI and its affiliates, and should not be construed as financial, economic, legal, tax, or other advice. This podcast is provided without any warranty or guarantee of its accuracy, completeness, timeliness, or results from using the information. Warning: you must comply with the TCPA and any other federal, state, or local laws, including for B2B calls and texts. Never call or text a number on any do not call list, and do not use an autodialer or artificial voice or pre-recorded messages without proper consent. Contact your attorney to ensure your compliance.